Today on the podcast, I have Jarek Tadla, an immigrant turned real estate mogul and now mental health advocate. His story of resilience is one that will inspire many to overcome not enoughness and thrive. Check it out. Welcome to the Suicide Prevention Lady podcast, where we make intervention easy. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Turner, and I am a suicide intervention expert. Please take note, I am the thinky kind of doctor and not a medical professional. So please do not take anything in this podcast as medical advice. Now, here's Jarek. All right. Welcome to the podcast today. We have a special guest. We have Jarek Tadla today. He is an author. He is a real estate. How do you say a real estate mogul? You're really into the
real estate mogul. Yeah, we own thousands of units all over the world. So it is mogul.
I love it. Yes,
that's the word. That's the word I get described the most.
Okay, real estate mogul,
Yes.
Author and mental health advocate with us today. So it should be a very special episode. Why don't you introduce yourself and kind of a little bit about your story?
So my name is Jarek Tadla. And like I told you, 2 years ago, I almost committed suicide. And it's funny, like people look at me, it's like, I had everything. By the rules of society, I had everything. I'm very fortunate. I retired at age of 28. Then I, got bored, retired again. So, healthy, 1%, 1 digit of body health, fat, very, very, very into physical activities, father of 5 kids, anything you can think of. It's just, I got everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, when I could not get out of the bed for a few months, and I almost committed suicide. It's funny, like I'm never lazy, but I was too lazy to commit suicide because I didn't want to get out of the bed. So God sent me the signals like, hey, you know what? We're not doing this time.
Yeah.
So the wake up call came.
Yeah.
So, and since then I went on the journey, because if this could happen to me, there's a lot of, like, I didn't have absolutely zero issue to be depressed, having anxiety, hit any kind of mental wall. And it happened to me. What about people that really have real issues? They lose some, loved ones or kids or something dramatic, something true hardship.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the top of the mountains.
Right.
And I keep telling people that the depression, the suicidal thought, the mental breakdown, it doesn't discriminate against the color, it doesn't discriminate against how much money you have in the bank, doesn't discriminate what kind of status you're in. It just we are all equal, we're all the same, and it's gonna come, and you don't know when.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so for years I was putting all those emotions, all those feelings, everything I was dealing with, I was pulling under the carpet, and finally it did cut up with me. And I was completely not aware of it and how to deal with that. And that's how I started sharing the journey. I wrote the book and, just get help from coaches, therapists, and I just went to work. So.
Okay.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah. So you had this moment where it just kind of all came. Well, not a moment. You said that you had several weeks there where you couldn't get out of bed. And you what really struck me when you were talking about that is I was too lazy to, right? Yeah. I didn't have enough energy to even go through with the steps. And I think that's not talked about enough because, there's a myth out there that when you get help for these issues, when you get help for depression or whatever, and you get on medicine, you're in the clear, right? But there's that really dangerous time, like when you're talking about, like, sometimes you can be so low that you can't get the energy to even do the thing that you think you want to do.
It's funny. I could not get out of the bed when my queen finally pulled me out of that. Like when she opened the curtains, and I talk about it in the book. When she opened the curtains and the light hit me, and she pulled me by the ankle, I'm going to just leave me alone. And it was like me walking into the living room. It was like, whoa, it was a win.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did I end up here? How?
Yeah.
Like, and I was fortunate enough, but remember, like, I was embarrassed to tell anybody.
Of course.
I pretended that I was sick. And my queen goes like, Yarek, you're not sick. You've been in bed for 2 months. I'm like, no, this is flu. Dude, the flu got maybe for 2, 3 days. This is
Yeah.
not flu, Yarek. This
Yeah.
is just, and constant, and I have to completely redesign myself. Like my body, of being 50 years old, and I want to make sure that because people say, oh yeah, he hit midlife crisis. It wasn't midlife crisis at
Yeah.
all. And it's like my body said, I'm sick of being here. Like, I don't want to be here. You put all the stuff, just it's stop, digging out, and your wounds, your traumas, your hardships, start talking about it. Because I never talk to anybody. I never I never share anything with anybody. And I was surrounded by many, many people, coaches, therapists. I have a coach for everything. I
Hmm.
have like almost 20 coaches in life, all in the self-improvement. So it's like this guy got it. He's got to go all together. But yet I keep it everything inside. It suddenly caught up with me. And
So
it's funny. I really lost. I really like. I got so delusional that I lost like what reality is, and I was scared,
mm,
with my own thoughts. And with day and the day after, I was more scared of my own thoughts than I ever was.
wow.
You know.
Yeah. Your own thoughts were scarier than all the things you were facing in real
Exactly.
world. And for clarity here, I'm not sure if everybody understands, but to say that coming from you is really powerful because like you came to the United States as an immigrant and worked as a dishwasher and like really had to work your way up. So
Yeah.
I'm making a leap here, but I assume that you've had your share of scary encounters in the world.
It's funny. I have a lot. What happened is like every time I encounter like any breakdowns, I thought it's just a part of the journey.
Hmm.
So let's say, regular going like, I moved here in 21. I mean, when I was 21 and just going, not speaking English, washing dishes and then just going through college. That was normal. It was normal. Like I'm a normal kid, like
Hmm.
everybody else. I just realized when 2008 happened, when 2008, I already got out of the first retirement and I over invest and over subscribe to the deals. And then all my investors were coming back. Yarek, I need the 20,000, I need the 10,000, I need 100,000, I need the million, I need the $3 million back, and I couldn't figure it out. And that's the first time I hit the wall.
Hmm.
But I assigned the wall to the issues I had.
Hmm.
So because I resolved the issues, and I came on the top of it, suddenly I'm good. Then in
Hmm.
2016, I had a ski accident. I have a very bad ski accident. I was 6 months in hospital, 13 surgeries in and out. And again, when I hit the bottom, I realized I'm emotionally not prepared to all those emotions and feelings, what's going on. Again, because I was so addicted with the recovery and the rehabilitation that I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it was.
Hmm.
The thoughts and everything of the not enoughness, the thought that you're horrible, that you're not good enough. That's where they're coming from. So again, I I kind of overlooked this stuff. This is normal. This is normal feelings and emotions. And me coming from the culture that we don't share anything, I said we as a man, we still it's a stereotype. The men don't share. They got to deal with all the stuff, but we don't share. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because that when you share, it becomes you weak. When you
Hmm.
cry, you become a don't be a woman, don't be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just keep this poker face. And I'm also a poker player, so I was good at that, keeping the poker. So when 2021 happened, then divorce happened. Again, it's divorce. It's normal, right? So you deal with this emotional feeling, so it's normal, right? So this, and then after divorce, like this is zero. I have not one issue with
Yeah.
nothing, and suddenly it just hit me. It just all this stuff just came together.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this I cannot assign to anything. Like
Yeah.
it's like God, you gave me so many red flags. You so many wake up calls. Like, God, I'm not coachable. I'm like, you're not listening until I start listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm here. I was like, I gotta share this story. You're not alone. When I realized when I start sharing the story, I just realized like I thought I was the only one.
No.
I was embarrassed. Like I
Yeah.
was hiding, right? And then I said, I shared a story with one friend, with the other friend, with my coaches, with my therapist. It's like people go through this stuff. No, people don't. That's me. No
Yeah.
one. People.
Oh, they really
And then
do.
more and more, I never realized that how big the issues is, and how that thing has been hidden.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's and I just decided to share it, and just the audience is getting bigger. And there's like you have to understand. I mean, you do understand that there's 700,000 suicide a year.
Mm-hmm.
545,000 suicide are men, age
Mm-hmm.
of 40 to 55. So I fit in all the criteria.
Yep.
Like I was right there. You know what I mean? And and we go through a lot of hardship, yet I have zero. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to worry about financially, I didn't have to worry about anything, emotionally, nothing, physically, nothing. I'm an Ironman, I'm running races, I'm
Yeah.
a father, I'm like past divorce. Like I got everything figured out. And
Yep.
no, I didn't.
Yeah. Mental health, it
Nope.
doesn't discriminate. You're right.
It's never ending story. It's you
Mm-hmm.
have it's like going to the gym. Every morning I get up at 4, I meditate, I pray, I do all the work, the inner work, go through the
Mm-hmm.
hardships, like all this stuff. But it took me, you have to understand, it took me years. It's not like I'm still work in progress.
Yeah.
Like it happened only 3 years ago. So it's like I'm like right now, I'm a toddler. I'm learning with emotions and feelings. It's like, I'm like the only emotions I know, it's a happiness and anger.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no, and now like all the others, now I'm aware of it, and it's a never-ending journey.
Yeah.
Always my entire life, I was looking for the validation from the outside world.
Yeah.
That I'm enough, I'm good.
Mm.
I'm capable. And when I realized that life happens from inside out, I was like, holy, it's that everything changes.
Yeah.
But I have to go and bury the 50 years old Yarek and start rebuild completely, start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because what happened is our brain, it's like a software, it's a computer software that we program for so many years, and then we assign all the experiences, and then we validate with our own head.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we can take it really in the delusional space.
Right.
Me,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Remember, like I have no empathy. Like the biggest, like the reason I have no empathy for to anybody. Like I said, you have a depression, you have anxiety, like this, go to gym, work out, do this. You broke, well, get a job, get a this. You fat, go
Uh-huh.
do this and this. Like I have zero empathy for those people. And then all the stuff happened to me
Yep.
because I didn't have any empathy for myself.
Yep.
Because I was like, assigning my identity to everybody else, to my kids. I'm a father, to my wife, I'm a husband, to the business. My identity was everybody else, but
Yep.
not me. So when everything was taken away from me, I was like,
Yeah.
and
That's
like this was like right here was empty. And because this was my soul, my heart was empty, it completely brainwashed my head.
yeah.
And I stopped believing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, what a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. What you're sharing is what so many, especially men, go through, but even like I resonated with part of your story because I've also had a very um, external locus of my identity where I see myself as a mother and as this worker or a keynote speaker or whatever. And it was like, what about my value internally? And that can feel really lonely when you're especially when it comes to having some disappointments with those other identities. It's like, okay, that's when you're supposed to be able to go into, okay, I'm valuable as a human, I'm worthy, I'm enough. And it's hard when your head is saying no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
And for 6 months, I did not look at the mirror when I was shaving. I was so ashamed of myself. And shame and guilt, those are the best feelings that the most screw with our head. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And then we just made up with the more and more harder and even more deeper and more toxic and negative stories.
Right.
And you know that I never told myself I love myself. Like really, like my mantra that like right now is like I go in the mirror after meditation, praying in the morning, and this is like I'm like just feed it's like those are mantras, but I like I'm gonna take care of you today.
Hmm.
I'm gonna put the right food. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna, we're gonna hold you
Yeah.
by the hand. It's like, I'm talking to myself. Like people might think it's a delusional, but if we don't take care of ourselves, our soul, our spirit, our head, our brain, our body, like, everything else, like everything is connected. Something's gonna break in.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I always say, If we start, because we are not our thoughts, but yet we believed in everything we say. So
Hmm.
I stopped listening to myself. I
Yeah.
started listening to myself,
Yeah.
because when I listen to myself, and I came from the environment that is like everything doesn't matter what I do, is it enough? It's like I'm always gonna lose, and I
Yeah.
always lost the battle, and that's why I almost lost the battle to suicide.
Hmm.
Can you imagine, like, if I really succeeded, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And that emotion, it's like, just the awareness, it's got to be there.
Yeah. And you're sharing, like, I look at it as how many people are in your shoes or are about to be in your shoes and they come across your story and they're like, oh my gosh, he
No.
gets it, and find that hope. Right. That's why, what you're doing is so powerful. Um,
I mean, by the time we finish this interview, or we do the podcast, by the time we finish, there's gonna be 7 suicides.
yeah, it's
It's what I mean,
it's
and
horrible.
but right now, with the access that we have with the internet and everything else, it's the awareness is there bigger and bigger. It's funny. I was on Good Morning America, and they were putting my show on the air,
Uh-huh.
and then the PDD stuff happened, and because of the numbers, those are the numbers, and there was like Mental Awareness Month. They have to resend it for a month, for a week later, and I'm like, even one person, like, because the numbers, that's what is more important. This stuff doesn't sell. Nobody wants to listen to this. I mean, those are not the numbers.
Yeah.
But this is like, even the week delay, it could save, even one life, and that's more than enough. You know what I
One
mean?
Yeah, one thing I do when I do any of the keynotes that I do, um, we always have, I don't care what I'm talking about. I'm going to work this in. And so it's anonymous polling, but it's asking the audience in the room at this time what their experience with suicide is. And it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. It doesn't matter who's in the room. It can be caretakers. It can be students. It doesn't matter. It's around 20% of people in the audience have thought about suicide in the last year, and about 5% are currently at that moment thinking about suicide, considering suicide. Now, if you put that into perspective, when you're looking at a room of 100 people, there are 5 people in the room that currently don't know if they want to live to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you want to sober up an audience real fast, that's how you do it. It's like, put these numbers, because you're right. Like, by the end of this, you're right. It's going to be around 7 people that have died by suicide just as we're talking. And getting the message out to those people, and having that, it's just so powerful. You never know when you're going to hit somebody at the right moment. And I feel this way. If it saves one person, great.
That's enough. That's enough. And it's funny talking about soberness. I know what you talking about, but also I I wasn't drinking, like I was sober. I was not using any drugs, nothing, because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, he was down because of the drugs or alcohol, anything, not that. But it's funny, even when I start healing, I went through the process and redesigning my body and everything else. I was sedating my entire life. But again, I was sedating with healthy habits.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened by rules of society, if he's working 20 hours a day, because he's making money, so that's good. When he's working out, he's running races, he's training 40, 60 hours a week. She's good, even though it's a sedation, it's running from
Right.
reality, for being in the present. So you don't want to deal with the demons and the issue in your head, because
Mm-hmm.
you're always occupied with something else.
Yeah.
But yet, when I start drinking very late, in my 30s, I already retired. And then when I was drinking, suddenly it's like, oh, he's drinking, well, he's got issues. I'm not saying that the entire life, and nobody had an issue. Suddenly, I was
Right.
like, for a few months, suddenly I have an issue.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's and that, and I always tell, it's like the sedation, the any other sedation, it doesn't help with the issues. You know what I
Right.
mean? Remember, I didn't have to get to the point that that I need to take the medicine, but I'm telling you, when you're dealing with anything, any shortcut, I mean, like I was at such a point, it just saved me. Just take me, just I will just take me by the hand and do not let me go, and I
Yeah.
will just do everything. And but the biggest thing for me, it was like truly just open up, cry, be vulnerable, and
Mm-hmm.
and and and, and this was the first thing. And remember, for me being vulnerable and crying, me become a victim, me, like remember, like no, that the world knows me from different point of view.
Yeah.
This is no way. This
Yeah.
is like, and really, it's like, but like when you crush, when you embarrass of your own thoughts and you scared, when you even thinking of suicide and you being scared of your own thoughts, it's a time to reach out.
Yeah.
It's a time to reach out. But here what's gonna happen? You also can reach out to the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, toughen up, man. You a man, shut up. You think this is your, it's like, okay, you're gonna have those people. So
Right.
that's when you reach out to one and this, and especially when you reach out to somebody in your Bible and your Bible is very not sophisticated, it's gonna even put you more down. So
Right.
you gotta kind of step out of your bubble and feel comfortable. Hey, you know what? This I can share because let's say my family this night they're not gonna find out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to the next level, it's like okay, now I can share it. That's what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
My kids and my family they didn't know for a while until I felt vulnerable and strong enough that I could share it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was a working. I'm telling you, after 2 years, I'm still working process.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think this journey will never ever stop. And
Right.
the more I talk about it, the more I go like a keynote speaker, I go on stage, the more it's like when I see like, how many people are struggling, like you said, out of
Mhm.
100 people, 20, it's huge.
Yeah.
But yet, remember, our stuff doesn't sell. Everybody want to talk about the outer wealth. You know
Right.
what I mean? Nobody want to talk about the inner wealth.
Right.
And the inner wealth is really comes, that's how you get that abundance from the outer wealth. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I agree. I agree. You talked about the voice inside your head being so mean and saying those hurtful things. Something that I don't know if you ever tried this or not, but this is what helps me break out of it. And it's just silly enough. It might work. It works for me. But when those voices come in, because they're there all the time, right? Like you're not thin enough, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever enough. It's the not enoughness, exactly what you're talking about. But it's,
Not
it's
enough. It's right there. Not
yeah,
enough. It's right
not
there.
enoughness. Y'all got to go get this book. But when that voice creeps in, if I will recognize it as this is not like I would never say these things to another human being, right? Like I would never let anybody talk to my friend or my family member with the words that are going on in my own head. So I've given her a name. That's an alter ego name. That is not Ricky. That is Karen or Susan or whoever, right? And I'll be like, Karen, not today. You don't get to speak to me like that. Go on. And it's like a conscious decision to be like, I see it. I see what that is. That is not I am not defined by these thoughts. So you're going to have to go away. And I'll always try to combat it too. Like whatever it was, like you are enough. You are whatever worthy. But giving it that other persona that is not me has really helped. And it helps some people. So just a strategy out there. If you also suffer with this, you can give it a name and it can be ugly and you can chew it out until
I have it worse. I have a band, like on the beginning, I have a band.
Uh-huh.
And it says, not today, motherfucker. So every time that I took the band and I snap it up, and I'm like, not today, motherfucker, not today, get out of my head. And then I learned a lot more. It's like, it's what I exactly, but here what happened is for entire life, the way I spoke with me, because I have the most expectations, the most regime, the most myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody. It's like to me, everything that's what it has to be. But because I have the most expectations from myself, that's what I talk to myself like shit. And it finally caught up with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 16 years old ready to go to Olympics. And so, and then, like succeed, like in everything I did. So everything was hard work, but it's always like the Eastern Bloc communism, it's just like, that's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Right.
And then if you want to motivate yourself, you talk to the shit even more.
Right.
And it does. And then what happens is it becomes your identity.
It does.
And then what happens, your brain doesn't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then you believe it. Suddenly what you say about yourself, you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to completely change your software. And the work starts. But the awareness, then you start working on it, like I started working on it. And then again, the shame, the guilt, there's like, no, of course you're ugly. Of course you're fat. Of course you're stupid. What? Like what?
Yeah.
It's like, I have to, and it's not easy, and it's a journey that we have to, completely, but I'm telling you, my biggest tool is like when the voice comes in, because sometimes we got to use the pain as a fuel just to reshake, because we're not ready to, what I mean? Like
Sure.
alcoholic, first you got to have awareness. Hey, I have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
we
right.
got to be aware of it. Hey, that's an issue.
Yeah.
We cannot be it. That's normal.
Yeah.
And go to work. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
take it myself. I don't listen. I'm like, nope, nope.
Nope. Not today. Not today.
I take the lead.
When you were mentioning, so what I like to use this platform for is for people who have never experienced this before. They don't really understand it, but they're worried about somebody in their life, right? And how can they help them? What really helped you? You talked about you were in the bed for a long time and you kept making excuses, but somebody was seeing through it. So I caught up on that. Um,
I gotta tell you, if I have to write like a step-by-step journal,
mhm,
and it's number one for me, and if anything, Ricky, is be freaking grateful.
mhm,
Like even that, hey, you know what? I'm in bed. It's like you have a bed, you
mhm,
have a roof.
mhm.
Just be grateful without being that because what happens when we go to this the other world of the negativity and believing like with the self and the blame, the sabotage, and the not worthiness, like I'm not worthy. We don't find nothing positive. Zero. So we gotta start with the gratitude, being grateful. This
Mhm.
is what, to me, this was number one. Like
Finding things to be grateful for.
I was pissed at my queen, like just leave me alone. But I was like, no, I got somebody pull me out of my freaking bed.
Mhm.
Just like what I mean. And then shit, I have a house.
Yeah.
I have sheets. I have like, just being grateful. And then, where I live, just like when first time I got out of the house, remember, I went to the stop sign. It's literally 100 yards. I swim 3 miles a day. I
Mhm.
went 100 yards. I was like, shit, I'm the man. I'm like, yeah, you got it. But I could not tell this to anybody. I could not even tell myself. But I
Yeah.
have to, what I mean? So, like the little wins, the
Mhm.
little, like this was number one, the gratitude and the little wins. Because
Okay.
suddenly cannot go back to the normal lifestyle because
Mhm.
the person's gone. So gratitude is number one. Number two is the little wins. And number three, holy cow, share it. Just please share it. Be vulnerable. Find somebody. Uh, and usually be careful. Not one person, because the one person can give completely wrong advice. You
Yes.
know? And it's like, oh, let's go to the bar, let's stuff it up. It's like, it's like this is the drinking and sedating with drugs, with weed, with alcohol. This is the last thing you need. Like I was like, I'm a runner, right? So I was told to my runners, it's like, can your ankle heal? Can your ankle heal? You got a fractured ankle. Can your ankle heal when you run every single day? No.
No.
You cannot heal when you sedate every day.
Right.
You cannot heal.
Yeah.
So I need you to just clean your body, but it's like, what I mean? And start, but the biggest help was fun, because remember, a lot of people, I was fortunate, but a lot of people cannot afford to go to the therapist for $100 an hour.
Oh, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But dude, like I deal with this shit. Like I'm not gonna pay $100 if I make freaking, what I mean?
Yeah.
15, $20. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So just finding the right people and just, become vulnerable. And then the other people that give you like, what I mean? And just open up.
Mhm.
Just, just, I think sharing the like really we become vulnerable. It was the third, like, I mean, there's a lot of steps. I'm just giving like a three biggest ones for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for me, it was the biggest one. But remember, everybody's different. You
Yeah.
know, if at that time somebody, I was lucky enough that nobody put me on Prozac, and nobody put me on any sedate medicine. But if I probably would take it too.
Yeah.
And I don't know how would, because I cannot advise on that. I can only tell you from my experience, right? I mean,
Sure.
I cannot, and remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Right.
We're talking, about just every Joe just having, panic, anxiety attack, suicidal thoughts that truly, it wasn't a thought. It was actually the whole plan. I got everything planned and everything, prepared.
Yeah.
Life insurance. I mean, everything, like whole thing.
Wow. Wow. What a scary place to be.
Yeah.
So you're talking about having a gratitude practice and being thankful for those things. You got celebrating the little wins, and then you talk about what was that last one that you said? Oh, open up, share with somebody.
Vulnerable. Yeah, be
Being
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
On somebody. Yeah.
That, especially from I'm going to call it toxic masculinity, but this thing in our society where men are not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to talk about their emotions. They're not allowed to feel that the weight of the world is on their shoulders. They must perform. That's it. They can never show quote unquote weakness.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a man listening to this right now, the bravest thing that you can do is to recognize when that is happening and find somebody to share that with and share that burden with. Because what I see overwhelmingly is when somebody is quote unquote suicidal or depressed or whatever, society tends to send the message to them that they need to just get over it. They need to just look on the bright side. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, whatever. And it's like people, especially who have never felt that way before, will like pull away from them. They don't want to make it worse. They don't really know what to say. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. So they kind of pull away. Now, if that person goes through with it and actually dies by suicide, all of the sudden the narrative has changed. And it is now I wish they would have said something. I wish they would have reached out. Why didn't they talk to me?
And they do say it. They said all the signals, but we don't know how to verbalize it.
Exactly.
We really don't know how to verbalize it.
Exactly.
Like we sitting even with me 3 years later, but at that point, I just don't know how to verbalize it. I just like this. I don't like the feelings. I don't know how to ask questions. I don't know how but there is absolutely something wrong with me. And it's like the demons or the voices in my head are getting clear and loud. And with the day, every single day, they're getting louder and clearer. And then when I felt the victim of just give in, that's when I truly, truly believe them. It's what it is. It's time to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, and
so do you remember the breakthrough moment for you?
No. It's on the beginning, what happened is on the beginning when this is happening, it's like, whatever. It's like, it's just because we talk like shit to each other all the time, right? So it's like, that's normal.
Yeah.
And you still know the truth.
Right.
Okay. But suddenly, because first suddenly it's like you start believing those voices, and then it comes to like 5-10%, and then you don't do anything, and then you get suddenly with believing the voices, the depression, you get also anxiety attack because you don't do anything about it. And then it's like a compound effect. It goes like from 0 to 100 in the split of the seconds. It was like, oh yeah, that's really and I really, the voice of Jessica saying, you help so many people, you cannot help yourself. And I was like, oh
yeah,
it's like,
you help so many people.
I was laying in the bed in the fetal position, like, and it's like I was crying and like whining, like yawning, like, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, if it's me, it can happen to anybody. You know what I mean? And it's time. Like, I have no idea how, but I'm like this is done. Like, this is over. Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And I start reaching out to people. Remember, I'm fortunate enough that I really have a good circle and I have a very good people around me.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not doing well.
Hmm.
I cannot describe it at that time. Like I didn't know until you go in that, like I'm not doing well, and then start describing and then start sharing, and that's how everything just comes out.
Yeah.
But it was like sometimes we have to hit the bottom of the bottom, until we hit the trough hole. It's the awareness came, because I believe I lied to myself for the entire life. I mean, imagine being 50 years old and not being aware of any emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
just-
And that road to, once you figure that out to get that started, you're right. I mean, it is like a toddler,
yeah,
trying to learn things. It's hard.
like a little kid,
Yeah.
like a little kid.
Yeah.
That's it.
And people need to understand too, it is a process. You are
Yeah,
gonna, if you get to this point where you're starting to really work through things, you're going to have hiccups in the road. It's gonna happen. Like that, it's a roller coaster. And as long as we're expecting that, if we're playing for the highs, we're playing for the lows, progress, not perfection.
yeah, yeah. And I got to tell you, the lower the lows, the better, because because like it's funny, like it's like it cannot get any worse, and it's kind of like you have the freedom. I cannot fuck this up even more. That's it. It's over. It's so bad. It's like it's over. Like this is like, you know what I mean? It is like, so then the little things. It's a huge win,
Yeah.
because if you go, like, let's say if you go from 100, from 0 to 1, suddenly that's 100%.
Yeah.
That's a huge progress. And then because you did 100% progress, when you go from 1 to 2, suddenly you only did 50%, improvement. So
Yeah.
it's like when you give it all on the little, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I have to like really celebrate the little ones.
Yeah.
Like celebrate and really self-talk. Without self-talk, you're nowhere.
Yes.
You did not rewrite the story in your head about your self-talk. You can do all the work. You can do anything. You surround yourself with the right people. If you don't change the work with yourself, it's not gonna go. You're gonna end up quickly, very, very in the same place. You're not gonna make some progress. You're gonna go back, and then you're gonna give up. Yeah, I tried, and
Hmm.
every time before we break in, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So self-talk, to me, the self-talk, I would definitely put this on the number 4.
Yeah.
Definitely self-talk.
Absolutely.
Self-talk it's because it's really that how we talk to ourselves. That's how everything comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because
Now
remember, nobody talks to us but us.
right.
We are with each other all the time, 24/7,
Right.
and we don't. And guess what? We don't get a break.
Right.
There's no break.
Right.
We can cheat the world. We cannot cheat ourselves,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we are the only one.
Yeah.
So
You said something that really stuck with me. Um, I the person in your life who was helping you get up, said you help so many people, but you can't help yourself right now. People think the ones that are giving all the help and doing all the things, the untouchables, like what you were kind of talking about, where it's like, I've got everything. I don't have any issues. Everybody thinks I have it all together. It's time to check on those people. Though they need checked on too. They need loved on too. It's sometimes that is a numbing mechanism in itself, is prioritizing literally every other person except for yourself. And then you get to that breaking point, right?
yeah,
And it becomes this huge surprise. And it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't they say something? Why didn't they reach out? And it's like, well, they were in their own way. Let's make it more accessible on this side of it to actually reach out and give that help and support. And, it's like a pressure cooker. You go 50 years never sharing your feelings and everything. The pressure it's going to bust in one way or the other. That pressure is going to come out in one way or the other.
yeah, it is.
Just,
It
is
is.
it going to be a healthy way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been you've got a great story. You've got such a story of grit and resilience, and getting through some hard times. And I think a lot of people are going to really benefit from hearing your story. So your book is called Not Enoughness. What's the tagline?
Not enoughness is the gift and the curse.
Gift and a curse. Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's definitely the same thing. Everything we have in life,
Yeah.
social media is the best gift out there, but also can be a curse. We don't know how to use it.
Right.
Our self-talk, our brain, our mind, our soul, our spirit is the best gift. But yet, if we don't use the tools, what I mean, it's like we're not gonna use it.
Yeah.
And the tools that we have and we acquire from entire life, we can use it in the good way or the bad way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's up to us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for sharing your story. So, knowing the audience that I have on here, it's a good mix of people who struggle themselves with mental health issues and for those who just want to help those in their lives that are struggling with mental health issues. So, give you this opportunity. What's your parting words to the audience members listening to your story today?
um, you know, um, the biggest thing is just please reach out, talk to people, and anything you are going through, share it with somebody else, and reach out to people that that you have a connection with, but something happened and they still lost and they lost connection with other people.
Yeah.
They really feel there's something happened, and that we usually, and again, I speak for men, right? Because I'm a man, so
Sure.
but we isolate so much when we don't have the answers, and it sounds as the one phone call, and you know what I'm telling you, like the dumbest message. Hey, I'm just checking up on you.
Yeah.
What? Like, like, hey, brother, I'm checking up. Like, what?
Yeah.
Dude, I not hear from you for years. Just checking out on you. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
What I mean?
It's so
And
powerful.
and yeah, and it's just like it's it's huge.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge. I'm telling you, it's huge. It's
It
huge.
is. It is. I'm glad you spoke to that. That's always something that I like to challenge people to do is somebody just popped into your head, right?
Mhm. And if you're going through a lot of stuff, there's social media that can you follow, so follow me on Instagram. But mostly like there's social media guys that that really help out with like a daily reminders, daily affirmations, and just follow those guys and just get some little quotes so there because
Yeah.
we can relate to a lot of it and just kind of get the boost like cocaine or caffeine, just like like get get
Yeah,
something, because 1 2 words can change tremendously.
it
you
can.
know it's just like you read that one quote, and when you follow the right people, it's like having the Red Bulls, like yay, and it's like it gives you enough to do something.
Yeah.
So that's what I just that's follow the right people,
Yep.
go out there, share it,
Fo- Follow the right people, build your circle, be willing to
be
open up,
vulnerable, be
be
vulnerable.
vulnerable. There's power in vulnerability. If you haven't watched Brene Brown's TED Talk on it, you need to. There's so much power with it. Um and and check on your people. I love it. I love that message.
Yeah, and
It's spot
remember, your
on.
story can change somebody else's life.
It sure can.
Share
It
the
sure
story.
can. And what do you say to those people who are like, I don't want to be a burden to somebody else. I don't want to make my problems your problems, because I hear that all the time.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Don't be selfish, because
Oh,
your story can help somebody else. It's not about you.
yeah.
I really got the goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
I really do
Yeah.
not be selfish.
Yeah.
If it's not about you, if you don't want to help yourself, just help somebody else with your story.
Yeah.
Your story can change somebody else's life.
Yeah. It
Don't be
creates even if you think that you're putting them, like, I don't know about you. This is me. If my friends are hurting, I want the opportunity to help them through that. Like, it is an honor for me to be able to help them through that. And so if that means giving you space to have your feelings or to be heard, then great. That's what I want you to do, because I'm going to need it. Like, we're not all on top of the world at all times. At some point, I am going to need that as well. And you will be in a place that you can receive that and be there for me.
Mm.
So I like that message there is like, don't be selfish, because you never know what that connection is going to bring to somebody else. And I would rather be there to support my friends than have to go to their funerals. Like, I want to be that person for them. So
Yep.
such a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will link in the show notes if you're interested in following him or getting the book. It'll be linked in the show notes, so you know how to find him. Anything else you want to leave the audience?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Today, I want to blend the call to engage with the call to action. I know so many people who are the helpers, And those helpers are often forgotten when it comes to mental health. We assume that they have it all together and they don't need any extra support, but they do. You heard Jarek in this interview say, you help so many people, but you can't help yourself. That's where we come in as a community. So please do me a favor and share this episode with the helper in your life. Pick that person that's always there for you, helping. They need to know that you see them and support them, and they may feel a little less alone by checking out this podcast and hearing someone else's struggles firsthand. You can also get a copy of Jarek's book, Not Enoughness, A Blessing and a Curse, now at the link in the show notes. And as well as you can go ahead and follow him on Instagram, and I'll have that information in the show notes as well. Next week, we're going to dig into why we treat mental health differently than any other illness. There are some fun and funny comparisons to be made that just might change your way of thinking. So join us next week as we continue to intervene with ease.